Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. Yes, we're back in the saddle with NXT reviews, and I gotta say, for a return episode, not bad. I actually had a lot of fun with this episode of NXT. I felt like from an in-ring perspective, the matches, a lot of fun matches on this show tonight, and one really good in-ring segment that I'm excited to talk to you about. This is actually NXT doing an undercard feud that I could really see myself getting invested in. I know you told me over Skype while we were watching this that you love the feud already. So yeah, I think this NXT was strong with quite a few talking points, and again, from an in-ring standpoint, had quite a showing tonight. What do you think?
I definitely agree with you, dude. I definitely feel like this was a solid episode of NXT. I've been kind of lightly keeping up with the episodes leading up to this, in the sense that I would go on one of the many streaming sites available for watching wrestling shows and pull up NXT and just kind of skim through it. And it seemed like a lot of filler to me, with the exception being the Undisputed Era and their kind of reign of terror over NXT that they've been doing, and that continued tonight. So I'm glad that we're going to get to talk about it. But yeah, this is a solid episode. Nothing exceptional, but there was one exceptional segment, and everything else was entertaining to good.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with that sentiment expressed. Let us get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And if you noticed, it was almost like I was going to say NXT review, because I really don't have any heats of the night tonight. I don't have any nitpicks. I'm just ready to start unpacking this show. But before I do, partner, do you have any grievances you want to air about tonight's episode?
No, heat of the night. I do have one minor nitpick, though, and it's really more on the writing team than anything else.
Okay, what do you got?
The Sonya Deville promo that we got, talking about, the reason you never saw Sonya Deville and Asuka in the same ring is because Asuka knew that she would have lost her title and that she wouldn't have had the undefeated streak anymore. And now she's running away, and now I'm going to win the title. And then she did the hair up, square up thing. The good side of this, I loved her delivery of this. I thought that this showed that she really could be a competent to legitimately good promo if given the right material. And that's where my nitpick is, because I thought the content of this promo was absolute garbage.
I don't know, I knew at least one person was gonna go that route, right? Because Asuka goes out on top, having never lost the belt, never lost her streak. I knew there was gonna be at least one heel women's wrestler on NXT that was gonna go the route, she's lucky she left when she did, because she would have crossed paths with me. Let me tell you what. And given the characters that we have at play, it does make the most sense that Sonya Deville would be given that delivery. Could they have been a bit more original with her? Yeah, but I thought it was relatively harmless. But I guess I could also see where you're coming from. Really, that's the route you go when you really have a chance to put your foot on the gas and make this woman seem like a force. You're going to keep talking about Asuka in that context. Really, what I would be looking for Sonya Deville would be a lot like what Dakota Kai did tonight, because I thought her promo was actually pretty good. I enjoyed that as well. So yeah, I can definitely sympathize where you're coming from, but you have anything else you want to express about that?
Well, really, I don't think my problem was that she went that route. I think my problem was that she cut a really solid promo, and then she just had to shoehorn the hair up or square up thing in there. That felt so forced and unnatural, unnecessary, whatever you want to call it. I get that she's trying to get that over as a catchphrase, but when you shoehorn it in a way that feels unnatural, it makes me feel like I want to reject it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, because the way she fit it in was she's saying I'm going to make that title mine. If anybody has a problem with it, hair up or square up. It really kind of misses a flow, I feel like, to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I understand wanting to use the catchphrase. That makes that's a really easy way to get over. If you say something catchy that people can latch onto, it's it's almost like a cheat code. If you say something catchy that people can latch onto, people are naturally going to do that. If it's easy to latch onto, people are going to latch onto it, you know? So, yeah, I definitely think that a catchphrase isn't necessarily a bad idea, but when you force it that hard, it becomes a bad idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. With that said, anything else you want to address in our first segment of Heat of the Night?
No, nothing else. That was my only complaint that I had of it on this show at all.
All right, then let us get right into our NXT review. I actually have quite a bit to say about this first match. We have Johnny Gargano versus Tito Sabatelli, and accompanied by Riddick Moss, who I'm just going to say it, maybe it's just me. I looked him really hard in the face, and he looks like the offspring of Ted Cruz when he's not busy wasting it on porn viewing. So, yeah.
Oh my God, you're not even wrong.
Yeah, like I looked at it and I'm like, mother of God, he is so hideous and yet so beefed up. So yeah, more serious commentary, which is what I'm assuming you guys came here for. You know, it's funny, dude, because I mentioned a lot in our Lucha Underground review tonight that I have these band of friends that I talk to, and you know, we share politics, we share wrestling, all that stuff. And one of them said, I don't like Johnny Gargano. Now, the funny thing with me is Johnny Scumbag. I love ragging on Johnny Gargano, but as John is the guy that's talking sincerely with you about wrestling, I think he has all the upside in the world, like we've talked about multiple times. And I feel like that upside was illustrated beautifully here because, dude, my first big talking point of this match, I thought he made Tito look like $1 million. Like, the way he sold for him and made his power offense look, like,
it's Gargano. Why are you surprised by this fact?
Well, no, it's not even me being surprised because we know it. Okay. I'm just saying that people that
are just pointing out, like reaffirming, like, this is Johnny Gargano at his best.
But yeah, reaffirming in the context of, like I said, one of my friends coming out and saying, I don't like Gargano. Well, this is why I like Gargano. Because he can take a guy like this, who really Sabatelli's a nobody. I do think he's got an athleticism and a look, but right now he is.
I mean, to be fair, he's not a nobody in the sense that, like, he's like, you know, he's got no name recognition or name value because he legitimately did play in the NFL. Like, he's like another Baron Corbin. He legitimately got NFL playing time. He got an NFL paycheck. He was a starter for the Colts, I believe, at one point. So it's not like he's this complete nobody. Like, it's like the difference to me between like Baron Corbin, who legitimately got like playing time with the Cardinals and then the Bengals, and like freaking Mojo Rawley, who like, you got, you know, you were on the roster in the preseason and you might have gotten preseason snaps and you were in like training camp, but you never actually saw the field when shit mattered. You know what I mean?
I guess I got to be careful with how I qualify statements then, because like obviously he comes from somewhere. Everybody does, but like in NXT, they really haven't gotten seriously behind him yet.
And plus, I mean, as far as being a nobody goes, he's more of a prospect than anything right now in NXT because he really is a very unpolished, unfinished product. But like, as far as the NFL goes, dude was a second-round pick. Like he was, whether he was actually a big deal or not, he was definitely supposed to be a big deal at one point.
Well, it's funny you say that. I'm going to stop you right there because as I was starting to say in my review of this match, like it's clear he's got a good look. It's clear that he has a sense of athleticism in the ring. Like that drop kick he hit looked really nice. And you could tell they want to do something with him because we've known about Tito. Is it Tino or Tito? Because I've said Tito and I feel like it's Tito, but it might be Tino.
Tino with an N.
Tino. Okay, so that's my mistake. So let me redress that here and now.
The hardest part about his name for me is because when he was in the NFL, his name was Sabby Piscatella. So like they basically took like part of his nickname and made it his last name because it like went from Sabby to Sabatelli, and they like combined the Sabby with the Piscatelli and Sabatelli. Like it screws me up too, but in NXT, it's Tino Sabatelli.
All right, well, my apologies. But what I was going to say was we know that they've had, or we've known about Tino, and we know that they've had at least a modicum of interest in Tino since Breaking Ground. Because he was, a somewhat big part of that. So, it seems like now him and the Ted Cruz offspring, Riddick Moss, they really want to make a serious go with these two as a tag team. And I think that's a nice little bit of narrative continuity because they are a tag team Gargano got out of a tag team, and he's still mentally recovering from Ciampa's betrayal, which was a huge talking point on commentary. And yeah, I really wanted to drive home again. Gargano is so good, and why I'm a supporter of his when we're talking in a serious space is because this is a guy that has that likability as a babyface, as we've already addressed. And whether it's a guy like Lars Sullivan, who after seeing how Johnny bumped for Tino and seeing Lars perform tonight, which we'll get into later, I definitely want to see those two meet. But this is a guy that didn't have to give Tino anything and really made him look freaking great to me. Like this is a match where even though he lost, you could tell, okay, him and Riddick Moss, maybe even in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, are going to, get their shit together and really be something. So, yeah, I thought this was a great opener. I liked Tino healing it up at the very beginning with the pie faces and the shoving. You ain't nothing. You ain't nothing. And then, Gargano, of course, firing back. And then, of course, the win with the Gargano escape. Great move, great name, great everything. I think Johnny's in a good place right now where he could really make that slow ascent to the NXT Championship to coincide right in time with Ciampa's return. And, yeah, I just really wanted to point out how great Johnny made Tino look in this. And, yeah, just good stuff all around.
Johnny the GOAT, baby. Johnny the GOAT.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything you want to say about this match that I didn't touch on already, or do you just want to move on?
Yeah, dude, you said so much more about this match than I was planning on giving it time. Like, I was not prepared to give this match as much time as you did.
All right, well, fair enough. Let's move on. What came into this, brother?
This match in my notes is literally just Johnny Gargano versus Tino Sabatelli. Gargano wins via Gargano escape.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So what came after this, man? I'll let you lead the discussion on whatever came next.
Well, we got Roderick Strong approaching William Regal in his office, asking for a title match with Drew McIntyre, and Regal obliges and sets up the match for 2 weeks from now.
Should be a great match, and it's great. Yeah, it's great filler before TakeOver Houston.
Yeah, and by the way, just to be clear, because I know Paul said something in chat about, is the heat of the night that you have or the nitpick that you have about Roddy Strong being not booked for a TakeOver title match again. And no, because I feel like the iron was hot before, and them not striking it means that the iron isn't hot anymore. So I'm not even angry about it this time because I don't feel like timing-wise it would make sense for him to be on the next TakeOver.
No, timing-wise, all signs point to Adam Cole right now, but we'll get to that later.
You really think so? Because I was thinking Aleister Black.
Possibly. It really is kind of up in the air to me right now because, again, like you pointed out to me when we were doing our outro for Lucha Underground review, TakeOver Houston is November 18th. Yeah. So that's a long ways away.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that, though, because I feel like the Aleister Velveteen Dream feud will have wrapped up by the time that rolls around, and it's possible that Aleister will have earned a title shot by then. I don't know. Just speculation, but yeah, I love that your mind is immediately Adam Cole, and I like that idea. And it made me think, like, now that Adam Cole is dickbag heel Adam Cole again, your fandom for him is going to get reunited so hard.
I definitely found myself getting aroused during the main event tonight, so you're not even
I could tell. I love it.
Yeah, it's just great seeing him be what he is, God's gift to this planet.
What was that line? I looked in a mirror today. What was the rest of it?
It was I looked in the mirror, then I looked out the window at the sun with a single tear streaming down my cheek, realizing what a gift I am to this planet.
I love that so much. Oh my god. All right, guys. We should probably move on. But yeah, we got a recap of 2 weeks ago when Regal announced that he and Asuka had started negotiations with the GMs of both Raw and SmackDown Live, and then the whole nobody's ready for Asuka thing. And that was when we got this Sonya Deville promo about how she could have beaten Asuka and she's going to win the title now. And then, like I said, she does the whole hair up, square up thing. I wish they would have either found a smoother transition into that or just not used it at all in this. But yeah, man, this really the volatility of the NXT women's division now is really interesting. It might be the most interesting thing to happen to the NXT women's division since the horsewomen went up to the main roster.
I completely agree with you. I think whenever we move beyond an era, because like you could say, I mean, I'm not saying this is accurate, I'm just saying for the sake of discussion, say the first era was like, the Paige era, then it would be like, Charlotte, and really just collectively the four horsewomen. than Asuka. Every time we move from one epoch to the next,
I would say it went Paige, Charlotte, Sasha, Bailey, Asuka.
Exactly. But when you move from one age to the next, the vacuum is always cause for intrigue. And you can maintain that intrigue if you handle it right. Knowing what they're going to do with it, because I don't know if that was established a few episodes prior, because again, we're only returning to coverage tonight, but I know you and I have talked about like how they're remedying this whole, vacancy of the title. I think it's a good move. I think it's a very interesting move. And I like how they showcase how open the division is. I don't even know if this was our next match. Was it Bianca Belair versus Lacey Evans? Is that next? That'd be a nice transition if it was. But if it wasn't,
yes, it was.
Excellent. I am on fucking point. Adam Cole, baby. So yeah, Lacey Evans versus Bianca Belair. Like, I don't really care for Lacey Evans. She wasn't bad in this match by any means. I just don't really care for the character. For obvious reasons. Bianca Belair is slowly growing on me, believe it or not. She's winning me over, which, I really can't say that about many acts, Charlotte, so good on you, Bianca, that you're winning me over.
Ooh, lad.
And yeah, I love that they use these two in particular because they're just under the radar enough, but they also just have enough exposure having come out of the Mae Young Classic to illustrate how wide open the field is now that Asuka left. Like, I think that's a clever move, personally. Solid match. Bianca, I will say, and this is the pickiest of nits, to steal one of my favorite phrases from you. Didn't really care for the new finisher because it seems like she's going from the spear now to this inverted powerbomb.
Oh, I loved it, dude. Because
yeah,
so innovative, and nobody else is using anything like that, and it legitimately looks like it would hurt so much. Like, don't get me wrong. I think she should still use the spear in certain situations, but I love that this can be like her new ultimate finisher.
I guess I can sympathize with your cover. I will say I actually think it's a step up from the spear. It's funny because even though I'm not totally in love with it, like, I feel like the spear, because it's like Roman Reigns, and honestly, like, I feel like the spear, it's not that it's not a cool move anymore, but I feel like anybody that has even like a modicum of association with power, like, oh, so you do the spear, right? So I'm glad that she's steering away from that, because I'm not saying it's tainted, but it's gotten kind of bland for me. I think I'll put it in a way. Really,
it's overdone.
Yeah, I think the only spear that still gets a pop out of me is Mil Muertes' spear, Reaper's Trident.
The Reaper's Trident, yes.
Yeah, because it's fucking sick. But that's the only spear these days that even gets like a pop out of me, because he makes it look like what he is, death. So I'm glad Bianca moved away from it. Maybe it's one of those things that'll win me over, just like she as a whole is doing. But I saw it and I'm like, that didn't really feel like an exclamation point. Either way, though, the hair whip, it's something that shouldn't get over to me, but it is, and I understand it, though. Like, I'm not even angry about it. I feel like she's in a good place right now, too, where I could definitely see her not only vying for the title, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she won it at some point in 2018, at least. Like, I definitely think she's on that trajectory where a title run is going to come a lot quicker to her than it has, say, somebody even like Ember Moon, if I'm being truthful. So, yeah, Bianca Belair gets the win, and like I said, I like the presentation of this match to show, like, oh, hey, the field's so wide open, even these ladies have a shot now that Asuka's gone, which is how it should feel. The reset of any playing field should feel this way, and right now Bianca Belair is coming out ahead. So, do you have any thoughts about this match?
You know what? I saw PW Gregory in chat say that the move that Bianca used wasn't innovative because other people had used it. I shouldn't have said innovative there. I should have just said creative, because it's not the kind of move that you would expect her to use. And I mean, really, I feel like there's a definite sort of dearth of women using pick up and throw type power moves in WWE and in wrestling in general, because really, I mean, you think about, there are a lot of submissions, there are a lot of strikes, but how many of these like pick up and throw kind of power moves do you see from women in wrestling? It's rare. Like, really, all I'm trying to say is I like that what Bianca's finisher is now is different. I like that it's not something that we're used to seeing. I like that even if you want to say, oh, the Big Show used it and Kane used it, how freaking long ago was that? And appreciate the creativity, even if it means dipping down into an old bag of tricks that already existed, and then you're not actually innovating something new. I still appreciate that she's doing something different.
And brother, like, I'm saying this in defense of you because what I was thinking, if you wouldn't have said it, was it's distinctive as well as creative. It makes her, it distinguishes her from her peers in that way. And the whole thing is, oh well, it's not innovative or it's not this. Nothing is new under the sun is a phrase that I've really grown to embrace about the wrestling business. And I think if you give something enough time, I'm also
I mean,
in.
I don't know, man. I feel like Marty and Dante Fox and Killshot have been doing some real innovating with their finishers in Lucha.
I mean, that is true, but here's the thing, though. I guess what I'm really getting at is, God damn it, what was I going to say? Yeah, like if you give something enough time, what's old is new again. Like look at how the Revival worked tag team matches. Like I feel like it was so long before we got a tag team like that that we all welcomed it with open arms, right? I feel like enough time has passed that we've seen a move be used in the context in which you described it. That Bianca being the one to pick it up, that's only going to further her own career in the long run, regardless of how I personally feel about her or anybody personally feels about it. I think it'll be something that'll definitely work. And whether she wants to use the hair whip or hell, even the spear as kind of a setup to signal, oh, hey, the finish is coming. Like, you know what? She's growing. And I think she's growing in a positive direction. And it feels so good to say that on a show that is supposed to be, first and foremost, a developmental territory. So that's how I'm going to punctuate this match. Unless you have anything you want to add, we can move on.
No, yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I feel like I'm definitely going to end up being a Bianca Belair fan before long. It's just a situation right now where she's still just really green and has a long way to go. It's just kind of like in that pre-heel turn Carmella, Alexa Bliss kind of territory. I mean,
Yes.
she is a heel, but as far as like experience level and in-ring level and stuff go, I feel like that's like where she's at as far as like her experience and growth in NXT.
Right.
So
okay, so what came after this?
After this was the segment of the night. Aleister Black comes out to cut a promo, and he talks about, I've been doing this for 15 years, and it's 15 years worth of scars all over his body, from the heart on my throat to the devil on my back. And then, John, I'll let you take it from here.
Velveteen Dream. He
comes you do out. That so well.
Oh, thank you. Brother, it's funny because I was originally going to give you the reins on this because I know, like me, you love this. Although I don't know which one of us loves this more. This may be a case where we just love it equally. I got to give Patrick Clark all the credit in the world because here's the thing: I'm not trying to do a disservice to Black, but let's all be upfront here, guys. We know
what Black is. We know he's great.
Exactly. We know he's great. We know what he can do. And even though you and I have been praiseworthy of Patrick Clark, to me, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, I looked at this as like, okay, you're coming out and interrupting somebody that the NXT crowd adores, like he's in that upper echelon. This is sink or swim for you. And call the motherfucker Michael Phelps because I think he swam with this shit. Yeah. God damn, like...
He didn't just swim with his brother. He was doing the backstroke. He was doing the breaststroke. He was changing it up. He tried the butterfly stroke. He was freestyling on our asses.
I love that he immediately, as far as the tone of the promo, sets himself apart from Black by saying, "You're the darkness, I'm the light."
Yes! Yes! He straight up said everything that fades to black eventually needs to come into the light.
And here's what won me over the most. Not jumping the gun, but I have to talk about this because I couldn't wait to talk about this particular moment. Every great thing he said about being the light, contrasting with Black's darkness, and, like, you have a heart, but it is in the right place. And, I know, like, you claim not to feel anything, but I know, like, you can experience fear. You feel fear. All of that would have been rendered moot. Because this is what I was expecting to happen, because I've seen him do it in his matches. If somebody hits Velveteen Dream or slaps him, whatever, in the context of a match, he gets all enraged and he gets far more aggressive. I was thinking when Black kicked his hand, which, by the way, was a cool fucking visual, Black, because I expected
the Black mask to the microphone, of all things.
Bad fucking ass, right? So then I'm thinking,
dude, and not only was that moment badass, but then that he immediately sits down Indian style and is just like, well, what are you going to do now, bitch?
Exactly, like you were saying. But no, like what I was...
Tell me I've got fear in my heart again.
Yeah, say it, bitch. What I love from Velveteen Dream, though, is because here I am thinking, oh no, that great promo is immediately going to be undercut by him showing his inexperience, like, oh, Black was one step ahead because he's going to get enraged and insulted, like, oh, how dare you touch the Velveteen Dream, and go to attack him, and it's not going to work. But instead, he embraces it. He gets right in Black's face in a style that only Velveteen Dream can. He slinks out of the ring, never breaking eye contact. And here I am grinning like a goddamn idiot thinking, thank you for this. Because they could have immediately, for me, I can't speak for you, partner, they could have taken the air out of this for me if they would have had him be petulant, try and attack Black, and have the attack be a failure. But the idea that, no, he really does want to play up this contrast, and he gets up in Black's face, I'm like, yes, make me want it. And that's exactly what this segment did. I love. I have been complaining so much about WWE's like oversaturation period and like, oh, you know, I want to see new and interesting feuds. You know, I've been that old timer. Well, my NXT, but this feud,
big in my day.
Exactly. But this feud is emblematic of everything I love about NXT when it's on point. Because Black is already in a place where I'm not worried about him. But Velveteen Dream, like, he's been having solid matches, but I've been waiting for that feud. Who is he going to work with?
Dude, it's the star-making feud.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the feud right here where Velveteen Dream could go from sideshow to the main show.
Exactly, dude. And here's the thing about...
Because really, so far, he really has been like a supplemental character. Like, he's been... Yes. You know, he's been in squash matches. He hasn't really done anything to be taken seriously. But if he ends up, I mean, we know he's already in this feud with Aleister Black, and Aleister Black is probably, aside from whoever holds the NXT title at any given time, I feel like Aleister Black is the most credible character in NXT. And for Patrick or for Velveteen Dream to be going after him and seeking him, and even if, obviously, I'm assuming he's going to lose, but even if he does lose, even when he does lose, I should say, if he puts on a really solid match with Black and gives him a run for his money, I definitely think that that could be a star-making kind of match.
I should also say, too, that this segment validates for me what I've been saying for a while, but the only reason I even pointed out here is I know that I can sometimes have a tendency to say it about quite a few talents, but maybe they're not as tested. I feel like this was Velveteen Dream's first real test, and this just shows me that he has... you all right over there, brother?
Yeah, everything's fine. What do you mean?
Yeah, like I was just hearing stuff moving around while I was talking. I didn't know what was going on over there. But no, like he really has like a fundamental understanding of his character. And it was great to see that displayed here. And
you know what? At the same time, we can talk about, you know, Velveteen Dream and how great he did to here, but let's be fair. Aleister Black's character, there's something to the fact that Velveteen Dream approached him with words and Aleister Black resorted to violence in response. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Tells you that he was it's like the mental response was he was shutting down emotionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which would almost give credence
to
Dream's promo. Because,
exactly.
You know, and that's the thing too. Speaking of promos, I do want to say very quickly, I thought this was going to be a heat of the night for me, Black speaking, because I'm like, no, the character's so good. Like, I even remember the first NXT exclusive they had after the takeover he debuted on. They tried to get a word with him, but he disappeared, and I love that because I'm like, oh, man, that's so perfect for the character.
The mystique.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh, if he speaks the mystique, it's going to be tainted. But it was a great promo, and I'm like, well, this just checks off yet another box. Like, if you really need him to, if you really need to shove that mic in his face, he can deliver and be fine and not expose himself in any way as anything less than what he's presented as. So, yeah, this segment was a delight. This segment was a gem. I love it.
And I also want to say, as far as Black's promo goes, I feel like if you're going to have somebody who you've built up a mystique for talk, you need to slowly, if you're going to remove mystique, you need to slowly add emotional attachment into that so that, like, when the mystique is completely gone, people are fully attached emotionally to that character without the mystique. And I think they did a good job with this promo doing that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. This was great. And not only was this segment of the night for me, this may have been one of the best segments on NXT TV in recent memory.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I feel like this is the best segment we've seen in NXT in a while.
I mean, it doesn't hurt that I was already invested in both guys to a degree, but just knowing that this, and you know what too, like maybe I'm speaking for myself here, but I thought another challenge was, and you kind of laid the foundation for me to say this earlier, when you said that, you know, Velvetini's been kind of like a supporting character, you know, only having these matches. I didn't know if people were going to buy Velveteen Dream interrupting Aleister Black, because you see that visual and like I don't know if it just undercuts any credibility that it might have or whatever, but I thought the execution was so great here. If you're not buying in these two having a match down the road, I don't know how much more they can sell you, but I'm sure they'll try and provide an answer in the coming weeks.
And what really works too is that as Velveteen Dream, he's undefeated, so there was also sort of like, oh well, even though Aleister Black is like the guy as far as non-title holding credibility goes, Velveteen Dream has been creeping his way up there because he's on a winning streak. He hasn't lost since he became the Velveteen Dream. He is pretty much squashing people at this point. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put his win quality on the same level as Aleister Black, but he still has strung some wins together, and a look and appearance and sort of, I guess you could say aura wise, like the aura, the vibe that he gives off, he didn't feel out of place confronting Aleister here.
Exactly. It's funny because when you mention all that, Velveteen Dream is a lot like, you know, Adam Rose on the main roster with that big undefeated streak, because the only difference is they're actually elevating Velveteen Dream, which is a great sign to see.
Yeah.
And doing something about it. So on that note, I could talk about this segment the rest of the show. It was that good, but I know we have other stuff to cover. What came after this, man?
Well, we did get a recap of No Way Jose and Lars Sullivan from a couple of weeks ago, but before we actually got to that match, we got this Dakota Kai promo.
And I know she's your girl, so I'll let you have the floor with this. What'd you think?
Well, she says that she might be new to the NXT game, but anyone that saw the Mae Young Classic knows that she is not one to be taken lightly. She is the captain of Team Kick, and she might not know what the fate of the NXT Women's Championship will be, but she does know that she's not afraid to kick a few heads in to make that title hers.
And I want to see her do it. I want to see her kick those heads in. Yeah, I really loved her delivery here. There was a sincerity to it, and I'm very curious what she's going to do in the NXT landscape. I want to see all of it. Dakota Kai versus Ember Moon, Dakota Kai versus Peyton Royce, Dakota Kai versus Kairi Sane again. Just give me all of it. All of it. She's great. Do you have anything you want to add before we move on?
No, she's just perfect, so let's move on.
There you go. What came out of this, bud?
Our third match of the night, No Way Jose versus Lars Sullivan.
Oh, God. Again, much like Johnny versus Tino, I actually have a bit to say about this, but I feel like I've been talking a lot tonight, and I haven't meant to. So, partner, you go first. What do you think about this?
I feel like Lars dominated the whole match again. Like, I don't really know what to say about this. I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I just adore this man, though. Like, I feel like he's my spirit animal. Because Mara was talking about like him on Twitter. He actually used the word pusillanimous in a tweet, and I'm like, oh my God, Lars! Like, you know your way into my pants, and it's so wonderful.
Lars is the avatar of the video game character that you create when you go into a new RPG.
Exactly. Like, I'm telling you, and albeit in a very different way. I don't want to make like direct parallels and cause this hubbub that I'm gonna have a headache about for a week. But like, we talk about how Aleister Black checks every box, and I feel like in his own way, Lars Sullivan is the same, because his look is so unique, but he's got this charisma about him. Like,
I think the biggest difference there, though, is that Lars, you can really tell Lars is still very green as far as in-ring goes.
Oh, yeah. But see, here's the thing about that. I feel like Lars is such a project where that greenness can be overcome, which makes me even more optimistic.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like I feel like Lars is sort of an offshoot version of Braun Strowman in the sense that like
Yes.
Braun doesn't need to be this like 5-star elite technical wrestler because he's an attraction. Lars might not be as much of an attraction as Braun because he's got like, you know, Braun has got like a good like 5 inches and probably 50, 60, 70 pounds on Lars. But at the same time, it's sort of a similar situation where these guys are these huge, gigantic, dominant monster types, and they both have a certain charisma about them where even if their best role might be as a killer heel, I think they could both pull off a smiling babyface just as well.
Yeah, like there's something about Lars Sullivan that I gravitate because he just strikes me as the guy, and I think he's shown himself as the guy that he can have a segment where he walks in to William Regal's office and he can say, "Oh, Mr. Regal, you know, I would just really like another chance, you know," and then use like some 10-letter, you know, kind of verbiage to describe his opposition or himself or whatever. He's got that charisma when he speaks, and then when he goes in the ring, he just manhandles people, and then wouldn't you know it, there's a tinge of athleticism there because I saw the guy do a freaking headbutt tonight. And I'm like, what even are you? And how have I lived life without you for this long? Like, it's great. I'm telling you, I've said it before on here, and it's worth repeating. Between Braun Strowman, Lars Sullivan, you know, and other guys that I'm sure I could think of if I devoted enough time, we're seeing a new crop of that big man kind of performer, but with that athleticism and that charisma that makes it not only easier to go down, but a damn fine experience, you know? Like, I'm loving these guys right now. Hell, the last 5v5 video we did, Braun Strowman was #1 for both of us on the Raw side. And Lars Sullivan, to me, I don't know if he'll ever be #1 on NXT because I feel like that's going to be like a fiery debate between Andrade and, you know, Hideo, who I can't wait to see more of again because I'm missing him already. But, I mean, Lars is a guy, man. I can't wait to see his future because that's another one, like Velveteen Dream and like others, that I'd love to see down the road when the credibility's there in that NXT title picture. I thought this was a good match. I loved, again, the headbutt and then that kind of Uranagi for a finish. I actually like his Uranagi better than the one that Joe uses now that he can no longer use the Muscle Buster, if I'm truthful.
You know, dude, it's kind of weird. I almost felt like this was less Uranagi, more Spinebuster, but it's just a weird variation of both.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid, if you will.
Yeah. Because like with the Uranagi, the guy's arm usually goes over top his opponent's outside shoulder.
Right.
Whereas with this, it really like, you know how back in the day, Batista would do the spear in a way where it would almost look like a Spinebuster?
Yeah, I think
like he would run into the guy and lift him up and then slam him into the ground.
Yeah, I used to see YouTube videos that would call it like Batista's Spear Buster.
Yeah, that's kind of what this was. It was like if you would like cut the running part, like when he runs up to his opponent to do the spear, out of that video and just pick it up from where he just had the guy lifted up and then slammed him down with the Spear Buster motion. That's kind of what this was. Like, that's basically exactly what we got here. Like, if Lars would have run into No Way Jose here, spear style, and then done his finisher, it would have literally just been a Spear Buster like Batista used to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, Lars, a lot like Braun, like, I'm just curious about the depth. Like, what more can he do? Because I wasn't expecting the headbutt or anything. And you know what?
That's my concern, is because, like, I feel like with Braun, we might have only seen the tip of the iceberg, whereas with Lars, I feel like we're seeing much more of what he is as a whole. Like, I don't feel like there is as much being held back with him.
Right. Yeah, I could see what you're saying. You know, that's definitely a possibility. If that is the case, I think it's good enough for the time being. I don't know if it would be good enough if he ascended up the card. So maybe. Well,
that's the only reason I'm saying this, though, is because this is the type of dude that is going to get called up fast. Like, he's a post-WrestleMania 33 call-up.
Yeah. You know what? I think in another time I would have really debated you, but I think with the current climate, yeah, you're right.
Oh, my God, not even 33, 34 is the one that's coming up. Jesus.
Yeah, goddamn. But good showing here from Sullivan. It's kind of a shame that this is where No Way Jose is at, because I still see like all the star potential that I know like you saw initially, and we talked about at great length. But I mean, who knows? That could be a guy that could get called up, and it would be for the better. I mean, I don't know. Especially if he was on a show like SmackDown Live, maybe he could make a go at it. Because Ty Dillinger doesn't seem to be doing so bad now that he's in that U.S. Championship mix. But I'm hoping No Way Jose can turn it around, because I think when you put him in a big match setting, he can deliver and really bring an air of excitement to it. But he was a good opponent here for Sullivan. Sullivan wins. Nothing more you can say than that. What came after this?
After this, we had our main event of the evening: Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, aka Mustache Mountain, versus Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, also known, not according to NXT, but we know as Red Dragon.
This was such a fun tag team match to me. But before I go any further, I mean, let me get your sentiments on it. What did you think of this main event?
It was really good. I enjoyed this. Really, I'd say match of the show for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, it didn't really have a ton of competition. Like, honestly, I would say the next best match on the show was Lacey versus Bianca.
Right.
But yeah, to me, the biggest standout in this match was Tyler Bate. That dude is a star. And like, the thing I really wanted to talk about with him is how tragic it is that he's a smaller guy, because if the UK division ever gets blown up, he's going to end up at the cruiserweight division, and that's going to be the biggest tragedy ever.
Yeah, and to think that this guy is only 20 years old. Like, Jesus Christ. And Trent Seven's great. It's funny because I didn't even watch the UK tournament. I think I did watch his match from day one, and back then, I gotta be honest, I wasn't too impressed. I'm like, okay, he's whatever. But seeing him in a tag team context with performers the caliber of Fish and O'Reilly, which, by the way, given our history of like brief coverage of ROH, because I know we're not even really touching it anymore, and New Japan and all that stuff, it feels so weird to be in a place where I'm supporting Kyle O'Reilly because him and Adam Cole are actually allies in this context. But yeah, O'Reilly and Fish, seeing Trent Seven in a tag team context, this guy, I could see what all the fuss is about. I thought he was great here. I love the tag team synergy between Bate and Seven. I was actually grateful that Red Dragon, O'Reilly and Fish, made them look as good as they did, because we know that they're like this really decorated tag team, and I think you needed to make Bate and Seven look like they had a fighting chance, and O'Reilly and Fish being the heels really sold that babyface offense, really made you believe like, oh man, they've got him on the ropes, so much so that Adam Cole had to get physically involved, super kicking Tyler Bate for O'Reilly and Fish to win. So I love that. I love that that's the route that they went. I thought this had some great sequences, Tyler Bate getting out of Kyle O'Reilly's guillotine, the counters, to chasing the dragon. Early on in the match when Tyler Bate was standing on Seven's shoulders and he did that senton, I thought that looked cool as hell. So yeah, like a lot of great offense here. Very fun match, great pacing. Just a great NXT main event with the Undisputed Era going over here. O'Reilly and Fish win with their high-low combination, which looks sick. And yeah, that was the match. And then in the post-match, they're celebrating in the ring. Drew McIntyre's music hits. He comes out to confront him. They bail. They think they've got a safe exit, but Sanity's right behind them. Of course, they are still your NXT Tag Team Champions from TakeOver when O'Reilly and Fish kind of made their impact. And a huge brawl broke out, and ultimately the babyface in this scenario, being McIntyre and Sanity, won the day. So what do you think about all this?
Yeah, brother. I got to tell you, man, this match was really solid, but then like with the whole post-match, I wonder if there's more of a link between Sanity and Drew McIntyre, than we've been led to believe.
Yeah.
I wonder if they actually if Drew is calling the shots maybe from behind the scenes. I don't know.
Hey, that would be some excellent firepower if you're the NXT champion.
I think that would be really interesting too, because they could use that as fuel for a potential a heel turn for Drew. And I'm always, you know, how I am. I'm always a bigger fan of the heel champion with faces chasing him than the other way around.
Oh, certainly, certainly.
So if
It,
they would want to do that, if they would want, and the only unfortunate part is that it seems like Sanity are being kind of portrayed as the good guys.
yes.
But I guess they could kind of work it out. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching for something that I want more than looking at what's more realistic.
You know, to me, the interesting dynamic here, and maybe this is my turn to reach, because look, we know that Sanity, even though Eric Young, yeah, Eric Young is a part of that, which is a shame. Because originally, like, here would have been my ideal scenario, right? And I know this isn't what we're dealing with. I'm saying this would have been my ideal, is that Wolf and Dane are tag team champions, but we know at TakeOver, Eric Young swapped out mid-match, and it was whatever. Now, I don't know if they're doing Freebird Rule. I don't know if that was ever established or not. If
They are.
They are. Okay, well then, you know what? I guess my option's still on the table. I would find it very intriguing if you have Dane and Wolf against Fish and O'Reilly, and then Eric Young frees himself up because he's the leader of Sanity. He's got his own ambitions, and we get a bit of triple threat action, Cole, McIntyre, and Young, after Strong's title shot's taken care of in 2 weeks. Because to me, I think the worst thing you could do is Sanity backing McIntyre up if McIntyre isn't going to turn heel, which unfortunately I don't think he will. And Eric Young is a supporting character to a champion, and the champion's relying on a faction that Eric Young is the leader of. Like, Eric Young needs to assert himself in this situation. So what I was envisioning at the end of tonight's episode is maybe in 2 weeks. Actually, no, it wouldn't be 2 weeks because McIntyre will be defending the title. So maybe in like 3 weeks or whatever, we get a 6-man tag, like, say, you know, McIntyre, Wolf, and Young against the Undisputed Era. And maybe there's like a miscommunication or something, or maybe Young just straight up bails and just like, you know, fuck this, I want the NXT title. And we create that tension that would give life to a triple threat. Because I don't want to see Eric Young on the margins here. I feel like he's kind of in a weird place right now. And I want him to have more focus and more direction. And the NXT title could be that direction. In fact, if I'm being honest, I'm surprised in that in this entire run, he still hasn't contended for it yet. And I think, you know, now is as good a time as any to me if he's getting involved with Cole's faction and he's in the proximity of the NXT champion. So, I mean, what do you think? How do you think they're going to play this?
I honestly have no clue. This is definitely one of those situations for me where I'm just going to have to let it come and react to it as it happens, because for so long now, I've just kind of had to give up on trying to predict the way NXT goes, because every time I try, I end up being miserably wrong.
I can understand that. I mean, I'm the same way. I just looked at that scene and I'm like, I don't want Eric Young to be just a supporting character in this. I want him to be another source of conflict. But then again, like I told you, that might be me reaching, because it seems like they're going the more face route with Sanity.
Yeah, I don't really think that's going to happen. It seems to me like the three main guys in Sanity are kind of interchangeable in the sense, like, they can all, you know, two of the three of them in any given match are going to be defending the titles, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the same two every time, because from what I understand, they are already using the Freebird Rule on house shows. So I'm pretty sure that's happening.
Right. Which is great because, again, it does open up the possibility of, okay, Dane and Wolf, you've got this. That frees Eric Young up, but I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, hell, we even at, you know, very early on in this episode when I said, oh, all signs to take over Houston are pointing to McIntyre Cole, you even thought that because it's all the way at November 18th, they might get that feud resolved then, and the name that came to your mind was Aleister Black. So I think the NXT title picture is in a place of, like, volatility right now, but in a good way, because you really don't know who that final contender is going to be.
I mean, really, every title is in a state of volatility. The women's title is literally belonging to vacant.
Yeah.
Title. I mean, the former champion who was technically owed a rematch is now on the main roster and nowhere to be seen, and we have no clue who our number one contender is. And we haven't seen the Authors of Pain, from what I understand, since TakeOver Brooklyn 3.
Right. And, you know, when they lost the NXT tag titles to Wolf and Young, who are the tag team champions, and again, that target seems to be the clearest one with Fish and O'Reilly, but you never know when. Again, with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, right around.
Yeah, that's what I was even going to bring up, the Dusty Classic, because tonight's main event really did feel like they were again building up the tag team division for that tournament, because not only did we get Red Dragon here, but we also got Mustache Mountain, and it seems like those guys are going to be in the Dusty Classic.
Right.
Because there were even talks on commentary of Mustache Mountain potentially wanting to win NXT Tag Gold. So that's like, I think that this year's Dusty Classic might just be to crown the #1 contenders for Sanity's titles.
Which would be great. I think you have the potential for a very stacked Tag Team Classic this year. How many more weeks do you think we'll have to wait before we really start hearing about that? Because like, we didn't hear anything about
probably like another 3 or 4 if I had to guess.
All right, so still a little ways away, but updates should be more or less around the corner. Give a little bit of time. So yeah, I thought this was a solid episode of NXT. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go into our next segment?
From what I remember from last year, I feel like the Dusty Classic brackets weren't released until like 3 or 4 weeks before the takeover that they happened on, and they just had a shit ton of like first and second round matches on those shows, but that's all that happened on those shows.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, what did you ask? You asked me a question. I just forget what it was.
Well, no, just if you had any concluding remarks before we move on to our next segment.
Oh, no, let's move on.
All right, high spots and low shots. You know what? I'm going to say that my low shot is Tino Sabatelli, because I didn't even get your name right at first. And despite you saying that Gargano was nothing, not in your league or whatever, yeah, he's not in your league. He's above it because he made you tap out tonight. So, yeah, you're going to have to go and comfort yourself and Ted Cruz's son that you guys are still great, you're still amazing, that everybody else is just jealous and that you'll bounce back. And I'm sure you'll be a first-round elimination in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic so that I'll get a chance to laugh at you all over again. Have fun with that. Who's your low shot?
Hey, Big Tito.
Yeah, what a failure.
My low shot, I guess I'm going to keep it simple and just pick the guy that ate the biggest beating this week, No Way Jose.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nothing really to add there. You know what? Because he just did so fucking well, I think it would be an injustice if I didn't give my high spot to the Velveteen Dream.
Oh, yes.
Was so good tonight. And you can't even say, in my mind, right, that he lost the encounter, because if anything, if you go by Ashton's interpretation of, Black responding with violence because he's shutting down emotionally, he gave the win to Velveteen Dream. You know, first man to throw a punch loses when it's a talking exchange. And, you know, even though it was more a kick than a punch, my point still stands. I think Velveteen Dream is in Aleister Black's head. He didn't back down. He didn't let his emotions bubble up to the surface when a mic literally got kicked out of his hands. I mean, yeah, he's feeling himself right now. He is one of the easiest high spots I've had on NXT in some time. He did great tonight. Who's your high spot?
Yes. I love it. You know what? You went with Dream, and I said it was the best segment of the night, so I'm going to go with the other half of that segment, Aleister Black, because he got to cut a promo, and he pretty much nailed it, and the crowd loves him, and then he basically did stand tall at the end. Even if Velveteen Dream might have been in his head, he still had a great showing, and these guys made magic together tonight.
I completely agree with you. These two are already so good for each other, because the best feuds are one where you can elevate a guy but still not lose the momentum you've gained in your spot if you're Black. Yep. And yeah, that's exactly what I think we're dealing with here, and it's great. With that said, I got nothing else to say. You already said earlier that you didn't have anything to say, so I'm not going to ask you again. This has been NXT.
Did you see the moment? I think it was last week at the end of NXT. It was like the main event. I think was like Pete Dunne versus Wolfgang for the cruiser or for the UK title. And after the match, the Undisputed Era came out and just beat the shit out of Wolfgang. And Pete Dunne was leaving, and then he like ran back into the ring, but all he actually did was grab the UK title and then walk away and just kind of shrug like, "Oh, what do you expect of me? I'm a bad guy."
You know what? I didn't see that, but I'm so proud of Pete Dunne. That's the way a heel should be. Fuck.
Yeah, but you know what though? It just makes me wonder, because Pete Dunne Trent Seven and Tyler Bate are a sort of three-man faction in progress called British Strong Style. So I wonder if we're going to get a British Strong Style versus the whole Undisputed Era in a 3-on-3 match at any point. That's like the big deal that it feels like they might be building to with this angle.
That would be huge. I should say that up until this point, I really haven't kept my finger on the pulse of the NXT. The only episode I watched was the Asuka retirement episode. It wasn't even about Asuka. It was because Hideo and Cassius were having that no DQ match. And, I got to get my Hideo fixed. But, yeah, that's all I've watched. But, yeah, they did recap that moment on commentary. I've got to go back and get video of that because that sounds amazing. And, yeah, Dunn's another one. I got to say, I wasn't really too hot on many acts coming out of the UK tournament. But, I mean, Trent Seven showed me something tonight in a tag team context. Tyler Bate is great. I mean, his matches with Pete Dunne convinced me. And, yeah, Pete Dunne himself is growing on me as well. So I think that six-man would be one hell of a match that I'd be very interested in seeing. With that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-owner and commentary action. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please, if you haven't already, leave that like. Going to go through this all very quickly. Our social media is in the description box. TWitWoW Facebook page is in the description box, as is the TWitWoW subreddit. The two big things I always like to plug. First, the Teespring, the real face of the women's revolution. We have an Emma t-shirt. My co-owner commentary made a beautiful Emma t-shirt. Why? Because WWE Shop is too inept to give her merchandise. How dare they? It's okay, though. Ashton was on it, and it's amazing. So if you support Emma, if you believe that she was the catalyst for the women's revolution, this is the t-shirt for you. If you're not down with that, that's fine, because for all Braun Strowman fans, we have an I'm not finished with you t-shirt that I think is great. If you want to send a chill down the spine of life, get this t-shirt and send it that very message. If that's not for you, though, I encourage you to peruse the entirety of our Teespring store. We have everything from Scum Squad mugs to t-shirts saying, because he's a father, damn it, in honor of Kevin Owens. So please check out the Teespring store. On to the Patreon. You guys know the biggest thing we are offering to date is the TWitWoW Discord, the most intimate experience for any TWitWoW fan, and it's only for $3 a month. I mean, that is huge, guys. For $3 a month, you can chat with us and all of the most hardcore TWitWoW fans about anything, because we have tabs for really everything. All of the bases are covered. And it's a great community. It's a great time. I encourage you all to be a part of it. I always have a fun time when I'm in there. And two great things come out of this, guys. Well, three. One, you get to interact with all of us, which is always a win. Two, at $3 a month, that markup, that accumulates, that accrues. So if you're a part of the Discord for 10 months, $3 a month at the price point, that comes to $30 a month that you can translate into a live reaction to a 3-hour show with your $30. And beyond that, thinking even more long-term, for those of you thinking, man, I used to love when TWitWoW, would do SmackDown live reactions every Tuesday. It was a nice thing to anticipate on my Tuesdays when I felt like there was a lull. Well, dude, we have great news for you. We may be on the verge of giving you something even better than SmackDown live reactions. Yeah, I said it. Progress live reactions. If we get to $120, which with enough $3 donations, we can get there, because I feel like we're at $94 right now. Last I checked, that may have changed. But with enough $3 donations, at that starting point, we could get to $120 in no time. And at $120, we will start every Tuesday live reacting to an episode of Progress. And here's the thing. For those of you that have been fans of TWitWoW for a long time, you know one basic formula to be true. I don't even need to get Scott Steiner on this. TWitWoW plus great wrestling content equals amazing live reactions. You know you want it. I want it. Let's get to 120. I'm going to tell you guys something that I'm starting to make up for never telling Cliff when he was a baby. I believe in each and every one of you to do this. So let's get to $120. I believe in you guys. That said, let me give you the rundown for the rest of the week and a little bit into the future here. First and foremost, tomorrow is going to kick ass. Why is it going to kick ass? Because we've got another Patreon request coming your way. ECW Hardcore Haven 99. At 3 p.m. we go live. I believe that's a live reaction, right, Ashton? Or is it a live reaction and a review? I thought it was
just a live reaction, brother.
Just a live reaction. And again, Formula people, TWitWoW, great content, amazing live reactions. You know you're going to want to be there. Will I change my underpants? Probably. So you're going to want to be there for it. After that, guys,
by the way, just for a quick rundown on Hardcore Heaven, since this is the last show we're doing before we live react to it, here are a few matches to expect on that card. Lance Storm versus Tommy Dreamer, Super Crazy versus Taka Michinoku, RVD versus Jerry Lynn.
Yes.
Sid Vicious versus Just Incredible, Taz versus Bubba Ray Dudley, and the Dudley Boys versus the team of Balls Mahoney and Spike Dudley.
Well, there you go. Which is funny because, you know, little Spike Dudley that comes out to LSD. I love the creativity of ECW at this point.
And by the way, also Tajiri in ECW versus Little Guido, a.k.a. I want to say he was Nunzio. Yeah, Nunzio.
Yeah. Nunzio. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's going to be a fun show, guys. I'm excited.
But mostly, guys, Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn. Let's be real.
Yeah, that match is going to be freaking amazing. Beyond that, guys, Friday, No Mercy preview and predictions. I actually am really looking forward to this preview and predictions. Should be some spirited discussions. I know me and Ash
we're going to have some very spirited discussions on Friday. Trust me.
Oh, you know it, man. I mean, you and I already kind of previewed it for each other a few nights ago on Skype, talking about the Universal title picture and Roman Reigns Cena. We'll be sure to replicate it, maybe even go a little further than that on Friday. So you're going to want to be there, guys. It's going to be awesome. Sunday, No Mercy live reactions, and guys, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I gotta say this: with how hyped I am about Braun Strowman versus Lesnar, and you know when a person is violent, and you know when a person has a connection with me because of that violence, I am downright feral in live reactions. So that match, you're not going to want to miss our live reactions to that match, because it's going to be me losing my mind, Ashton being the voice of reason while also oscillating to trying to like calm me down, making sure that I don't stroke on air, and it's going to be a wonderful time. So No Mercy live reactions. For those of you that prefer our live reactions to the pay-per-view, which I can't blame you, it's going to be something special. It's going to be a special night for all of us. So yeah, a great rest of the week coming to all the TWitWoW faithful. We thank you all so much for the constant support. We love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. ECW Hardcore Heaven 99. Till then, tune in and peace out.